Hi everybody, this is your final exam study guide. So I'm going to go over everything that you need to know about our final exam, and the final will be posted so that you can take it anytime after it is posted, and as long as it's turned in by the due date for your particular class, then you are good to go. Okay, so the first thing that you need to know is that you can take the exam anytime once it's posted. Remember, it needs to be finished no later than 11:59 p.m. on the due date. Once you begin, you will have 2 hours to take the exam, so the latest that you should start would be 10 p.m. on the due date for your class. You can look at the due date for your class on your syllabus or on your class Canvas. Remember that no late exams will be given for any reason, so make sure that you plan ahead. Also, if you have time on the final for a disability, you do need to let me know in advance so that I can apply extra time, and then that would mean that you need to start even earlier so that you can use all of your time before the exam closes. All right, so how the exam works. It is a written exam, but you do get to see the questions for the exam beforehand. So that's what this lecture is for. So in the lecture, we're going to go over the 2 possible exam questions. On the exam, you will see both of those options, and then you just choose whichever one you want to answer. So for whichever question you do choose to answer, make sure that you use 2 pieces of evidence and the quote sandwich method to answer the exam question. All right, so option number 1. For this option, you are going to be writing about a modest proposal. So you can use any part of this excerpt here as evidence. And your goal here is to identify Swift's purpose in this paragraph, explain how he used rhetorical features to achieve this purpose. And you need to include 2 different rhetorical features or 2 examples of the same rhetorical feature. So that is up to you in terms of which rhetorical features you choose to discuss, which examples you choose, but they do need to come from this particular excerpt. That is option number 1. Option number 2 has to do with current events. If you choose to write about this option, you're going to use either the video Breathe, Nolan, Breathe, or the video Roll Red Roll as evidence. You would need to explain how the video helped you better understand issues that can affect students on college campuses, and then also present a brief argument persuading your audience to consider the impact this issue can have on individuals. Sources that you would need for this option can be found in the past week's module, but they're also available freely on the internet if you just look for the title. So that is the second option. Remember that when you see these options on the final, you only need to answer one. Quick overview of the quote sandwich method. Remember that first you need to make a claim in your paragraph, then introduce your evidence, including the author's name and the name of the source. Use a signal phrase right before your quote, and then include either a quote or a paraphrase. Make sure you keep this really short. Cite an MLA, and then explain the significance. So this is where you're answering the questions that are posed there. You've got an example quote sandwich here. So this is about a different text that your class probably did not read for this semester, but you can see that the student author here is making a claim in the beginning and then introducing some evidence here, including the author and the title. And then we get a signal phrase, right? We are told. We see quotation marks that let me know that the student is using a quote. And then an MLA citation, which in this case is only the page number because the author is right there in the same sentence. And then after that, we have all of this explanation where the student is explaining what they want me to understand and see from that particular quote, right? So that is an example quote sandwich. You also have some resources about the quote sandwich method and timed writing available in this PowerPoint, which I will post at the same time as I post the final exam. So you're free to look through this PowerPoint to review things and prepare and all that good stuff before you take the final itself. So you'll see a link to this PowerPoint, which is available usually right at the same time that I post this lecture. So, quick recap about the final. You want to study for the possible questions. Notes are okay on the final. This is an open note exam, so prepare however you would like to and use your notes on the final to the extent that you would like. Once you open the exam, you'll see two options available. Remember that you only need to answer one of those two options. For whichever option you answer, make sure that you are using that quote sandwich method. And I would recommend answering the question in about 2 paragraphs. You can add an intro and a conclusion if time allows, but I'm really just looking at your ability to make a very succinct, very quick argument that answers a question that is posed to you and uses the right amount of evidence and all of that good stuff. So you can get this done in a short amount of time, about 2 paragraphs. The final is timed, but you have an entire 2 hours, so that should be plenty of time to get those 2 paragraphs done with evidence. So I would go back and kind of look and, proofread to the extent that you are able to within those 2 hours. Make sure that you start the final with enough time to finish by 11:59 p.m. on the due date because I do not accept late work. One more quick note, if you are attaching something for some reason, make sure that it's not like a Google Doc. It would need to be a PDF or a DocX, but you should be able to just write in those 2 paragraphs on the exam. And that is our final exam study guide. Remember to stay strong and keep going. You've got this. You're almost done. I hope the rest of your finals are going well for you. And have a great break. Enjoy some time off before the next semester or whatever is next for you.